All right, sweet. We're good. We're ready. All right, so episode 4, Self Awareness Podcast. Thanks for joining in. I got my wonderful guest, Dom Jackson from Web3. He's going to introduce himself and tell us what he's been up to.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Ryan. It's a pleasure to be on here. Say what's up, everybody. Pleasure to be on the Self Awareness Podcast. Definitely been a big journey of self awareness over the past, always, but definitely more over the past year or so. Um, I just I started my first business officially, legally, paperly, everything like real last year called Day by Day Media. And that has been a journey of many sorts of kind of figuring out of lots of self-awareness, lots of reflection, lots of seeing you know where I'm good at, what I'm not good at. So it has been a journey. It has. Would you want me to go deeper on that, or what?
Yeah, tell us what's day by day. What do you guys do?
So I have so to go back to the theme of the show, that kind of fits everything going full circle. I was in the fitness industry for 7 years, so I was doing push-ups, squats, sit-ups, eat your vegetables, count your macros, all that type of content was like my
Love it.
main content in the space. Loving it, enjoyed it. And the pandemic hit, and I started doing some online training. And I was working at a gym before that. The gym let me go. I was in living in California, so like that, it was a lot of like identity shifts that happened at that time. And I was like, you know what, man, this I don't think I want to be in this industry anymore. I don't think it's for me the same way anymore. Like I didn't like the passion wasn't the same way. Then I was kind of upset that the world kind of just said, pooped on me as far as like, hey, your industry doesn't matter. There's a lot of things I was just like, I think it was time for me to go. And during that time, I had so many other skills between the video editing and like the content marketing side of things. That I decided I was like, you know what, I'm just going to pursue this space more now because it's just what I've been doing, and it's what I like doing anyway. The creative aspect of it, the creation, the whole entire process, making stuff. Like I've had like 3 different podcasts already within that time frame, so it's been cool just being like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to use my skill set to get there. And so I started Day by Day Media, and the main message was that like instead of training people to grow their muscles or change their body, which takes one day at a time, you gotta take it day by day. So instead of growing your body or changing your body, it's growing your business and growing your brand, and that happens day by day as well. So the whole business itself is like a reminder for me, but also the person that I'm working with, the process that it takes to get to that next phase of evolution of what you're trying to change and become, which goes back to self-awareness to kind of tie in the name of the show, everything, because it takes so much effort to even understand that these things are wrong and I could be right if I just change these three. Like, whatever the issues that you're facing, there's always some kind of problem. It's like what the problem facing right now is, and just what I have already in place, make that change correct.
Yeah,
You know,
what I totally
um,
realized is that like a lot of us, including myself, I'm like the biggest culprit of this. We forget about the accomplishments we did yesterday. Like it's tough. It really is because you do something really cool and you hit a milestone and you're really excited and you pop open the champagne, you celebrate. But as soon as the party's over and you're sweeping up the confetti, it's like you just forgot about all of that. And now you're like feeling like okay, ground zero again, and it's tough because like I see a lot of people who are very successful in their field in their industry and they just feel like they haven't done anything and they're just like beating themselves up and we got to change that. I think we really got to change the conversation on that.
100%, 100%. I was talking to my friend yesterday about that whole process of going through just yeah, patting yourself on the back when you do a lot of good things. Like that's definitely something I go through every single day of trying to figure out this whole entrepreneurship journey of, what things work, what things don't work. I was telling someone yesterday that it's like you got to figure out what kind of burger you want to make, how to make the burger, then how to wrap the burger, then how to sell the burger, then what kind of things to put with the burger, and like you got to make the whole restaurant from scratch. So a lot of things are It's always kind of things challenging, and the second you get closer, you realize it's like, oh shoot, there's 20 more things I got to figure out. I also am getting ready to train for. I'm in the process of training for my first half Ironman, so that's been
Wow.
like a journey because I don't know how to swim, or I didn't know how to swim, and now I'm in the process of learning that. So it's been a cool like. I like the idea of learning new things while I'm in things that I'm learning things that have no skill set in currently, while learning things that I'm like struggling with at a level that I'm already kind of competent in. Because it reminds me how much you can learn with everything else. So this whole swimming thing has been cool. My second lesson and just seeing how much that progress has been, which reminded me how much progress I can make in a short amount of time with the other things that I'm still trying to figure out. So that was a cool reminder of just like, all right, life is life like the stressors that happen and the things you've accomplished are great. Be happy about them because if you're trying to do more things, you're never gonna be like, oh, like you made it. It's like, well, what's next? And it's that constant like flow of things. So I enjoy that. I enjoy the process, but the reminder is like, yeah, you don't you're doing it. Don't be too crazy on yourself.
Well, question for you, Dom. What makes you want to do an Ironman? Have you done it before? Are you used to running marathons?
I did not. My friend, my friend, roommate, best friend from high school, he did one, and he was like, "Yo, man, like it's hard, but it's not that hard." Cause it was always one of those things, fitness wise, that I was just like, it was like one of those things that's like that's like a pinnacle of fitness. You know what I'm saying? Like you do
Right.
that, and I think it really is too. But like having someone that I knew and was like, this is like my best friend. You know what I'm saying? Somebody who I knew doing it, and I was like, oh, it kind of took it out of that world of like, oh, this is impossible
Mm.
because like this is someone who I know, like grew up with, like
If they can
they
do
did
it,
one.
I can do it.
Yeah, it's like it just changed my whole spectrum of like, all right, what's possible, what's not possible, and with this whole new series of like things I'm going to is like just go back to the whole entrepreneurship thing. I've been in so many positions where it's just been like, well, you gonna go back or you gonna figure this out? And I really like the concept of just more and more. I'm just like, hey, like I am who I say I am, and I'm gonna figure out how to be that person every time. So I really like the idea of this Iron Man thing because it was just like, it's just so many different things that I have to overcome to even get to the spot where I'm there at the same time while doing other things. So it's kind of like having like a little side mission for my other mental request that I'm going through. And it's good to have progress somewhere when you don't have all the other progress you want somewhere else. You had to kind of keep you in place. So the main reason I wanted to do it was one, like I saw it was possible, just from like it wasn't as impossible as I thought. Like I saw someone do it that like I know like it's just like my
Cause
brother.
to,
You know what I'm
cause to me, it's like Iron Man. Whoa, like that. That seems kind of out of reach.
saying? That's exactly how I felt too, man. That's exactly how I felt. And I'm like, you know what? No, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can do it. Maybe
like
this will inspire you to do one too, or a half marathon or marathon, whatever boat you want to float.
I see myself on the sidelines, like you got it. like I saw Ryan at an Iron Man. Like they don't think I'm running it. I wouldn't think I'm running it. Like he was on the sidelines. Yeah, that's awesome though. It's super cool. So congrats on that. I think that's gonna turn out great, especially with you training for it and just prepping yourself and really getting yourself there.
It's definitely a doozy, and like I'm I'm glad I'm happy for it too. Thank you.
Cool, man. So, what are I want to ask? What are some of the things that you're looking to accomplish here in the near future? What what can people support you on? What are some of the things that are really top of mind right now? Um, and they could be bigger picture stuff, or it could just be things that you're heavily focused on.
Ah, it's a great question. Great question. I see. I'm hyped to see what the next like 20 episodes, 50 episodes do to you as you like get more into the craft. Cause I love how the game is playing out for you. Um,
Thanks.
but one of my biggest goals definitely for 2024 is to. I really want to have like, one of my biggest influences of just far as like entrepreneurship and like how to get things done. It's Gary Vee. Like
Let's go. The goat.
he's just the guy. And I remember the first time I saw him do like one of his keynotes on YouTube. I was like, bro, that's like that is the pinnacle of goal what I want to
Which
do.
one was
So
it? Do you remember the exact one?
I I don't remember because I first found him in 2016.
Wow. Okay.
So I don't know like what it was, which one it was,
Yeah.
but I know that like it was still he was still pretty early in putting out the content. Like I actually ended up on being the I actually ended up being on. I went to go see him do like a live speech in New York City when I was living in Jersey at the time,
Really?
and I ended up being on Daily V, and it's like Daily V like 46 or something like that.
Wow,
It's
that's
like the
early too.
yeah. So I'm like it was early in the game, so like I know he wasn't at the same content level he is now, which is cool to have like a little timestamp of it to be like, hey, like I was there early and like
Right, right, right.
I have the proof. Um, but I really want to. But I want to start my speaking career next year for sure. And now it's just figuring out what things I could speak on. Where I can, is it setting up more my own events? Am I going to other people's events? How do I get in connection with people that do this professionally? So along with growing my business, training for Ironman, being more self-aware, and then getting myself in a position where I can start speaking on stage. 'Cause I will be like a professional speaker, like 100%. It's already like done in my head, basically. It's just like what level I get to, but how much work I put in and how much effort I put in. But that's definitely one of the things that I'm definitely
Well, let's
going
hold
full
on
force
there.
to work
Let's hone in on that speaking engagement because that got me really excited. Uh, you seem like the true self-aware hair, as in, self-awareness, but then the hair is like really fast, and you're gonna be doing the Iron Man. So, I could see you as that. That might be your spirit animal, but it's interesting that you talk about your speaking career. I want to know if that's something that you've always thought of, because for my story, I've never really thought of myself as a speaker, and I don't think it was until I saw the keynotes that I actually had an interest. Like it kind of like pulled something out of me of like not in the way where you see someone do something and you're like, yeah, I want to do that. It was more as in like it's always been in you, but you just never articulated it.
like that.
You know what I
That was
mean?
there.
Like it's
Yeah.
weird. You didn't know it was there until someone like poked at it and pulled it out of you. So that's where I want to go. Like, did you always know since you were a kid, teenage years? Like, how did that come about?
I had the fire of what really brought it to me was in my eighth grade. I
Hmm.
did my eighth grade talent show uh, at my school in Jersey. Me and my boy went up there. We were rappers. He was rapping. I had like do the hook for the song, and we were up there. We were gonna kill it. I was like, oh man, I'm gonna be so cool and
Did
have
you have
this
the
moment in
beat? Did you
time.
have the beat on in the background?
Yeah, we had the beat in the background. We were in like the auditorium with the cafeterias. Everybody was in there like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
It was
My
kind of like
boy
that
gets on.
Eminem, kind of like the Eminem movie
Yes,
with everyone's throwing their
yes,
hands up, right?
yes. So everyone's having a great time vibe. And my boy's doing great. He's like, yo, yo, do, 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 do. He's having a great time. And then my turn comes, and I'm just like, and the entire school just starts erupting in laughter and just laughing at me the entire time.
Wow.
And it was like I didn't really practice, so like as far as like the now that I know how much work it takes to get things to actually work, I understand why I froze. I'm not mad at it, but I was like, no, 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 no. Like I'm owning stages for the rest of my life. That like drove me to like do presentations in school. I did like my high school talent show, and like it's one of the big reasons I want to have a great speaking career because like that's not owning me ever again. So it's been like a internal like war between me and public speaking forever, and that's like me one of my biggest culminations of just like, hey, that happened to him, but it took me here, and it's definitely one of the driving factors.
Wow. That's so crazy to think about. Like, 'cause seeing you now, when you think back to that moment, does it feel just like it was just a bad dream?
It kind of does. Then I see somebody who's like, "Hi, remember we froze in a talent show?" I'll be like, "Ha!" Well, I'll be laughing last.
Right, right. That's funny that even comes back. You know what I mean? But the
Like,
but the real thing is, I'm actually a little envious of you because I know how powerful adversity is, and I think that would have been really cool for me to have that experience too. To me to have that adversity of like freezing on stage in front of everyone. You know what I mean? Like that does something to you in a good way. Like people don't know it then, but it pushes you in one of two directions. You're either gonna say, "I'm a loser for life," like that's it, and that's it, like it's over, and you're just never gonna try anything ever again, or it goes in the other way, which is like really awesome, where it's like, "No, I'm gonna kick ass forever now."
Yeah, I'm sure. Now I'm curious to know if, what like when you start a podcast is not something easy too. Did you have a thing that made you spark this?
Not really. The first episode, believe it or not, was not even a video. It was just two guys in a phone. Um, I was living in Nebraska at the time, and it was my top sales guy, like just an absolute star player who came in and you know had this he had this like really good head on his shoulders, and I was like, we just need to get this thing down where we're just going back and forth, and we talked for an hour, and it's a really great episode, it's out there somewhere. I think it's on Spotify, and that was in 21, and I don't think I started episode 2 until this year. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it was one of those things where it was like, I don't want to just have just anybody. Like, Self Awareness Podcast is really a place to like bring value, great minds collide. Um, it was kind of one of those things. It's like, because I hear a lot of different podcasts now, like, and some are like comedic, some are educational, um, and then some are so funny where they're just like, I don't even know what we should talk about next. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's just interesting. Like to me, I think making podcasts is easy because I literally just hop on Discord, we hop in a call, and we just start talking. Like that's me. I don't need to do a script or anything. And um, I was even watching a guy operate his podcast, and he every time he's like, okay, we're gonna edit this out. All right, we're gonna edit this out, and like it was like half of it was gonna be edited out, and he would just like jump back in as if he never stopped. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
Mhm. Yeah.
It's like as if he never said cut. Like he's like, oh, we're just gonna jump cut it to this part right here. It was a weird experience to be on that podcast where I was a guest and he was doing that. I was like, I don't know. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to that. So, to
Oh,
me, I
yeah.
think it's easy.
I can see that. I can see that definitely.
I don't think there's
Wow.
any sweat to it. And I'm trying to break down the barriers for other people. Like I really am. Like I'm trying to chip away at the barrier of entry because a lot of people think, just like you said about the Iron Man thing, like you kind of chipped away my thing. I was like, if I train for the next 3 years, I might be in a good spot to start training for the Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got me like to start
Easy.
believing. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to do for other people about whether it's content creation, podcast creation, but then like you said, growing your brand. A lot of people are like, well, I don't have the time. Like they start thinking of all the roadblocks, and I'm trying to chip away at all these barriers. I'm like, hey, look, if you were just like me, like if you did it the way I did it, which is no script, no planning, just jump right in. Like I could have been working 16 hours today and just hopped on this with you. You don't know what I've done the rest of the day. You know what I mean? I could have just like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? And just get in there, 30 minutes, one take is all it takes. Like that's really how you have to do it, especially if you don't have time. Like forget about the perfection. Just get in there and speak your truth. And if it's good enough, people will resonate with it.
That is a fact. Just speak your truth and just go in and jump into it, man. I definitely agree with that. I've had to go back to software as again between my content journeys. I've done like three different podcasts. I had one podcast was for more fitness based stuff,
Yeah.
and then I had one that was we kind of just one was like a motivational one I was kind of doing by myself, and that was the first one I did like I did one a week straight for a year, which was like very impressive. What kind of gave me a lot of the editing skills. I made it a video and audio podcast that I use. I use the same skills now. I taught myself how to edit and like all that stuff back in 2020. So that was like a
Congrats.
big
That's good.
shift for me. Thank you very much. And then I did one with my friend where we kind of went on Web3 and NFTs and the blockchain. But this is what you were saying, like jumping right in is so good. Like you never know where that next jump is going to take you. And I'm loving the journey and you're into the next thing. And I'm loving your journey too, man. Like, this is like just hearing like you jump back into it this year it's huge, man. Like I'm definitely happy to hear it.
I've always felt it, you know what I mean? And it's actually getting out of your own way. I had a lot of insecurities of like, you know, it, it was these weird thoughts, man. These weird thoughts that are not even your own, but you think they're your own opinions, but they're not. Which is like, you know, who am I to be on a podcast? I'm not, you know what I mean? Like, it's those type of things that and that's holding people back. And believe it or not, like, you are interesting, whether you don't think that. Because if somebody asks you, you know, what are some interesting facts about you, and if nothing really comes to mind, that just means that the things that are interesting about you, you downplay. You just downplay your interesting, you know, aspects. And if you talk to enough people, just start putting out enough content, you'll realize that some of the stuff that you were thought like, yeah, I like to play poker, or yeah, I like to play pool or darts, like that that resonates with people. Like that, you can make connections from that. Um, if you say like, oh, I like Disney, you know what I mean? Just that one
Yeah.
little thing can turn someone's head and be like, "You like Disney too? You like Star Wars too?" You know what I mean? And it's just another avenue to build that connection point.
There's so many different fandoms you can just find a way
Yeah.
connect, and I believe in that heavily, especially with personal brands too. I know Gary talks about it a lot, but I think a lot more people, as I have more clients that I do stuff with that are more in like the business space or in the B2B space, but a lot of people don't underestimate how many opportunities there are in talking about your other interests that you said make you interesting. That's something that I'm seeing more and more with what I do professionally and with what I do with my own personal brand too. So it's I just love when things get all like mesh up and connect the entire process of everything. You know, right? It's beautiful, man.
It's like you are the niche. That's what I've been trying to push lately. It's like you are the niche. You know, most people are trying to create their own niche or find their niche. I'm part of like 1,000 different niches, which then makes me a niche of my own.
Which one would you say is a niche that you like the most at this moment?
I'm tough with favorites. I don't like to play the favoritism game, but I'll tell you
Uh,
something that's top of mind, something that I'm
okay, I
like
like that.
heavily in. Electronic music. That's one of the
Really?
ones. Yeah, that's one of the ones that I'm like. Pff, I've been a diehard electronic music fan since I was a little kid. I mean, just listening to Daft
Like
Punk.
Avicii and like David Guetta, or more like UK style? Like
I didn't
what are
grow
you
up with
talking?
Avicii and David Guetta. I grew up with like the dirty like dubstep stuff. So
Okay.
UKF dubstep. You know, it's just a lot of different wubs sounds like that. Yeah, that gritty stuff. You know, stuff that was
Nice.
coming out of the UK and just even like Americanized. They call it bro step. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and it was interesting. I mean, it's just a love for music. I also love rock and roll, like huge rocker. Like I've been playing drums since I was 7, so I love I love classic rock. Um, but yeah, it's just interesting. Like well, there's so many different niches, and I think people need to understand that the world's changing in a really good way.
A lot of room to be yourself, more and more, day by day.
Right, right. And I see a lot of people trying to build their personal brands right now, but they just got like some really bad takes, and then they're also like they have like very divisive personalities. Like it's hard, especially when you're just starting out. Like if you got 10 followers, and then like you're really going in on some people because they believe a certain thing, like you know it's gonna be hard to like cultivate a following. And I just kind of want to like push that out there so people understand that. You know.
I, to me, I think that I don't like the attacking Side of that,
The
that's just like
criticism.
divisive.
I'm talking about like the criticism. Like you're doing some hard criticism on like or judging. I think I would call it judging. Like you're basically judging other people. It's tough.
I don't like I don't think that's good for people like to build your thing off being mean to other people. I don't think that's ever a
Or
good
like
idea.
TMZ, right?
Yeah, that's nasty. I also think there's a power to knowing who your tribe is, but then not, but then also because like the knowing who the other side of your tribe
Mm.
is also like you people that you're if you're on one side of if you love one team, you're not gonna like the other teams, but you can still like the same sport. You know what I'm saying? Um, the that's something I'm thinking about more ways too, because like just the same way we said like the TMZ style of content creators, not really us, but which like builds our community more. But then the people in that TMZ style community might think like, oh, I want to be like them in that community either. You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
I think there's definitely like a layer of there's a strategy of having being doubling down on I guess the world that you fit into and like your people. But then even if you like say who's not your people, there's like a reinforce it to your people too.
Mm.
I hope I communicated in a way that made sense. Cause
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
like
Going big picture with it, I think if you put yourself in a position to where anyone can become your people, like you don't box anyone out basically. Um, and if you like the one I'm thinking of is like light and dark, right? You know, you have the light, you have the dark, and I'm talking about in terms of like energy, right? Like positive and negative energy. And like
outside.
right, like very Star Wars. Uh, just because I'm a real positive person doesn't mean that I dislike or or I want to attack people who are cynical. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But at any day, any moment, if they shift their mindset, they can easily roll with me any day. You know what I mean? That's why I love like there's people who, used to be in prison and now they're like out in the world doing great things. Like even in the V Friends community, there's people who've been used to be in jail. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I love that, man, because the past doesn't define who you are. Like what defines who you are is who you are in today's day and age. Like today, who are you now? And if you're someone who gives back to the community, you're somebody who loves endlessly. Like you people change. People can change, and that's what I love, man. Like that's something super cool to think about.
Beautiful, man. It really is.
Yeah.
There's so much room for evolution, and the internet gets your entire. People like to cancel people for having their entire truth online, which I don't really like. But like the idea of redemption is such a lost concept. Like that's who I was before, and you can have proof of it. Then you see who I am now. So I think that's definitely a big thing that more people need to understand more too. So like
Yeah.
I like that a lot of people in the defense community have come from different backgrounds and can come together and say, you know what, like I want to be positive together. I want to help make the world a better place together. Because
And I think redemption doesn't start with other people. It starts with yourself.
100%.
Because if you feel that redemption for yourself, if you've redeemed yourself for you, you then turn into this power figure. You turn into this beam of light that other people can see. Like, when you're good for you, when you love yourself, other people can see that. And then it gives them the opportunity to then love you back. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it does start with yourself. So like if anyone out there that's listening to this like they want to redeem themselves, redemption starts with you, and I would actually say it ends with you. Like you don't need anyone's validation. Like you need your own validation. That's really all you need. So it's that internal struggle that we're trying to get over.
time, every time. That's beautiful.
Yeah, man. These are the things I want to push. Switching gears really quickly, because I know we've been talking about self awareness. You might get a kick out of this. I just finished chapter one. I just started writing this book like 6 days ago.
Right?
I haven't like fully finished chapter one, but it's there. Um, and I'm writing a book. It's called Self Awareness.
Happy to hear that. What's the what is it about? What is it? What does the self awareness come from? What is it about? What's the
The premise.
where is the self awareness taking you for that first chapter?
It starts pretty heavy. The first chapter's called Societal Constructs.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
You were right. No, you was jumping right in that bad boy.
yeah. It goes straight in. I want it to be a powerhouse of a book, and I want every page to punch. I just want it to go ga ga ga, and not in like a bad way of like beating you down, but more of just that snap out of it and listen to yourself, because we all have truths. And I talk about my journey too, because for the longest time, I don't know if you know this, but now I'm like pushing to be a full-time musician, but
Nice.
a lot of parts of my life, as I remember them, I talked myself out of doing music. And the reasons why was because through all the noise, I felt, well, what I gathered, all the information I gathered, I concluded that music was not a reliable way to have an income. It wasn't a
Mm,
realistic possibility.
right.
And that was completely false, because now I'm making money through music and I'm happier than ever. You know what I mean? So I kind of just proved my younger self wrong. But it it happened a lot where I want to say like two or three times where I was just like, nah, and I just like actually I put all of it on the shelf. I regret those decisions, I really do. But I'm glad that where I'm at now. And so I go into that story of like just really digging deep and just being brutally honest with myself. Why was it that I gave up, or why was it that I thought it wasn't possible?
Gotcha. And that's when the self awareness came in. Self aware hearing you.
Yeah, self awareness hit me, and it was a Gary Vee keynote. He was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
We got the location too. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I was like in college. I was in the middle of flunking out of college. I did community college and I loved that. But then when I went to a 4 year university, I just absolutely hated it. Changed my major 6 times, and I remember I was flunking out. I was like, this is all a joke. This is literally what I was thinking about. I was like, everything I'm doing here is a joke. I need to figure out what I want to do for me. And I'm sitting there in my dark apartment. I would literally sit like till 5 a.m. just watching keynotes. And yeah, I just remember this one keynote and it just hit me like a light bulb. I was like, oh shit. I was like, the opportunity is there and no one's taking advantage of it. Like, it wasn't until that moment. And he was talking about like running Facebook ads in a third world country to build your brand. And I was like, it blew my mind, man. And I literally was just blown away, and I was like, wait a minute, like I everything that I thought I knew was wrong. And it was that moment, man, where that self-awareness just kicked in. I was like, I can cash in on my passion. I can make money from the things I love to do, and everyone can, you know. But everyone's afraid of hard work. I wasn't afraid of hard work. A lot of people thought I was lazy because I wasn't doing crap with my life at that point. But
Judgment.
yeah, a whole lot of judgment. Like, oh, what is he doing? He's flunking out. Like, he's not. He's gonna be a loser. He's gonna, uh, be whatever. Right? I wasn't listening to it. I was hard at work, but I was like reading books, like literally just slamming through books, and then just watching keynotes, watching entrepreneurs, hustle, like trying to figure out where am I going to take my first step, because I don't know. My journey is different than a lot of people's, but I wanted to kind of know like what direction I was headed before I just started running. Like I didn't want to just take off, you know.
There's so much, there's so much power in that journey, knowing where you are, the judgment people are going to give you, the way they're going to feel about you. It really is a beautiful thing that as you become more self-aware and you become more sort like the more you do stuff to become self-aware, you'll realize that like the more self-aware you are, it's almost like a crazy compounding effect. You know, thinking about how you said, things you went through to become, then you like the books, the keynotes. It's a really interesting concept. I feel the same way. There's just so many different ways that I feel like I've gone. Like, I did this wrong, but then like I learned this, and this wrong, I learned this. And it's the constant journey of just like doing it. I also think a lot of people also are not like when you're like that first level where you're not self-aware though, and you're kind of just like I guess unaware. I think back to the times where I was more unaware of things, and what things I'm unaware of now that like
Mm,
I'll be more self-aware of like after this whole next speaking journey, wherever that journey is.
yeah.
And I think the biggest thing that I've definitely gotten is just been like it's okay. Everyone's figuring it out, and it's okay. I feel like enough people say it like it sounds pretty cliche. But I think once you get to a certain point where you really feel it, it also gets a lot easier to do everything else too.
Right. As long
So
as
that's been like,
you're doing something, right?
yeah,
That's the
the journey
thing.
of everything. Man.
That's the thing. Like people beat themselves up, they feel like shit cuz they're not doing enough. But to me, I'm like, if you're at least doing something, that's worthwhile. It's the people, it's the ones who are like not doing anything, not pushing for anything at all. Like basically you've given up, you know. It's those people that really need a wake up call. And sometimes and I mean this is tough to talk about, but like sometimes it is the sheriff knocking on your door serving an eviction notice. Like sometimes that is the wake up moment. You know what I mean? But what I loved, and I heard a celebrity say this, I can't remember who it was, but they basically said, you don't have to hit absolute rock bottom to make a change.
It's facts.
Some people want to ride it
Thanks.
all the way down, like they just want to see how far down it can go. You know, it's that self sabotage mentality.
A lot of destruction to it, man. A lot of destruction. Hey, Ryan, I got to slide onto another call.
Yeah, of course, man.
Um, yeah, I don't know. Anything else you want me to do? Sign off or anything?
Just plug your socials, man. Anything you got?
Hey, well, thank you so much for having me on, brother. I definitely want to have one again. If I can come back on 24 or 34. Now I stick with the four theme. If you, thank you so much for having me on.
You're
You
hustling,
guys want
man.
to
I
follow
love it.
me? I'm trying to, brother. Definitely want to get this in when I can. Again, follow me at Dom Jackson 747 on Twitter, on Instagram, Dom Jackson 747. And yeah, thanks for having me on. It's been an honor. Stay self aware and take care.
Awesome, man. Go get it. Best of luck to you.
Thanks for having me on, brother.
Peace.